at this stage of the Grand Prix. But watch out for Alonso. We haven't spoken much about him since he lost 8 seconds with a fuel problem in the pits. Nothing to do with him. And there you can see him, Alonso, starting to absolutely fly. 1.5 seconds faster than Schumacher, Barrichello and Ralf Schumacher up at the front. He's hauling himself back into contention, is Fernando Alonso in 4th place there, just with a back marker in front of him.
Yeah, well, it can all be lost in a pit stop, can't it? Now, normal Ferrari tactics are that the two drivers are allowed to fight against each other up until the 2nd round of pit stops, and thereafter they're told to hold station if they're together. There's Alonso pushing very, very hard. In 4th place here he is today, as he was 12 months ago. If you remember the finish here last year, Michael Schumacher leading home Ralf Schumacher with Montoya and Alonso. 4 cars separated by only 2 or 3 seconds at the finish. It was a train, the final laps. Chance that we could have a bit of a concertina here again this afternoon. A pretty close finish in prospect as Alonso gets closer and closer to the 2 Ferraris at the front. And remember, the Renault and the Ferraris are on a similar 2-stop strategy here this afternoon. 3rd
retirement of the day. Bruni in the Minardi with a gearbox problem apparently. Webber out with a front suspension damage. Truly front rear suspension broken away from the start. 3 retirements, 17 runners. Michael Schumacher leads from Barrichello and Ralf Schumacher, and that is Sato getting in way too deep in front of the leaders. So Sato then, who is in 11th place and was fighting with Panis for 10th.
Well, another 360 spin then for Takuma Sato. That's going to start being nicknamed the Sato moment, I think, fairly soon. He dropped it right here in the final corner yesterday in qualifying when he was on for pole position, as he had been in Monte Carlo, as he had been at the Nürburgring, and couldn't quite make it stick once again. Look at Barrichello so close to the back of Schumacher, and perhaps his time is running out as Sato pits then after that incident. Perhaps the time just ebbing away from Rubens Barrichello to have a chance. He's got to have a go at Michael Schumacher before the 2nd round of stops. As I said before, that's generally speaking where they tell the drivers to hold station.
And here you see then Sato nicely up the inside, but just way too late in the brakes. Total miracle he didn't wipe out the Jordan. No luck, no skill involved in that, all luck, I have to say. And we then got Klein bouncing across. We've seen 2 broken chassis this weekend through moments like that. Klein, the only Jaguar runner, he's down in 16th. He's had rather a lot of adventures this afternoon.
Lap 44 then, a lot of red caps in the grandstands, a lot of action on the track, a lot of lap traffic getting out of the way, but no big overtaking move just yet. Can Rubens Barrichello, in the few laps remaining to him, get past Michael Schumacher? Can he get close enough to him? Coming out of the hairpin, that's the vital time. One of the 2 Ferraris diving into the pit lane. There we are, there's your answer. Barrichello it is, into the pits.
Rubens then from 2nd place. And if it's true that they're allowed to race to the 2nd stop or the final stop, then his moment has gone. But there's still plenty of laps to go. Ted is down there.
I've been into Ferrari yet again. They still insist there are no technical problems with Michael Schumacher's car. But I've said, I see as Alonso off, but I've said to them, can they race? And the team representative gave me a kind of funny Italian look, like, why are you asking me that?
Critically, though, he comes out, Michael Schumacher comes out, I think, behind Montoya, was that?
Barrichello it was.
Barrichello, sorry, comes out behind Montoya, and that will irritate him no end. Michael Schumacher leading the Grand Prix. Barrichello had to make the first of the 2 stops, and he's come out behind Juan Montoya, who we believe also has to stop again.
Yeah. So that's quite pivotal. That not clearing Montoya there is quite important, and that is such a shame. Alonso was steaming up behind the leaders and was about to bring himself completely back into play. That was Coulthard. He's P10 at the moment. The yellow flag's waving for the Renault at the front of the field. Down into turn 1. So Alonso out of the Grand Prix, the 4th retirement.
So both of the Renaults out of the Grand Prix, both of them with reliability problems. We've seen Alonso, the only retirement Renault have had so far this season. He had a crash, if you remember, in the tunnel in Monte Carlo with Ralf Schumacher, and that's the only time Renault have failed to score points this season. But here today in Montreal, both of the cars out, surely out with a suspension failure, and we'll find out shortly, with a bit of luck, what caused Alonso to pull out.
It helps Jenson Button, but he's just not fast enough at the moment to come through and win this Grand Prix on pure speed alone. All of a sudden, Michael Schumacher's back into the 113s. What's that all about, James? And he must be nursing his brakes or something. So we see Raikkonen pitting in front of us, and there is Alonso just literally pulling out of the Grand Prix. As you say, only one retirement, that was an accident in the tunnel in Monaco. So they've been pretty much faultless, but both of them out of the Grand Prix today. Raikkonen, new steering wheel, so some dramas in there, possibly with the gear shift then or something like that. We saw him struggling for straight line speed earlier on in the Grand Prix. He's had a penalty drive through. He's been involved in all sorts of incidents, but Raikkonen still somewhere in the hunt for some World Championship points.
Oh, it's terrific. It really is. He was in 6th place before that stop. Now dropped down to 7th behind Giancarlo Fisichella, who's having a good middle stint in the Sauber. Has got himself up to 6th. Michael Schumacher then leading his brother Ralph by 6.1 seconds. They're lapping